In this disturbing Nest camera surveillance footage released by the FBI today, you can see a masked person walk up to Nancy's front door and begin tampering with the camera around the time Nancy disappeared.
January 31st, 2026. An ordinary night in Tucson, Arizona. But by early morning, the peaceful Catalina Foothills neighborhood would become the center of one of the most baffling missing person investigations in recent memory. When an 84-year-old woman didn't show up the next day where she was expected, the world would watch in disbelief as authorities pieced together evidence that pointed to a chilling possibility: a targeted abduction. This is the story of Nancy Guthrie. What happened to her, how the investigation unfolded, and where the case stands now. The night she vanished, Nancy Ellen Long Guthrie, born January 27, 1942, was the beloved mother of NBC Today Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie and 2 other children. On the evening of January 31, 2026, Nancy spent the night with family in Tucson. Her son-in-law dropped her back at her home in the Catalina Foothills at approximately 9:50 p.m. Her plan the next morning was simple: to visit friends and watch a live-streamed church service. But she never showed up. February 1st. Missing and first clues. Early on, February 1st, something strange was captured on video. Doorbell camera footage from her home recorded a masked, armed individual tampering with the camera at roughly 1:47 a.m. Minutes later, at about 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker, which was connected to her phone, suddenly stopped syncing. That abrupt loss of signal would become one of the first hard leads investigators had. By midday on February 1st, family members checked on Nancy when she failed to arrive at her friend's home. They found her house empty, with her wallet, phone, medications, and car all still inside. Authorities were called around noon, turning what might have been a routine missing person report into a full criminal investigation.
Since Nancy's disappearance 10 days ago, investigators have been working to recover any surveillance footage from her home, some of which the FBI says may have been lost, corrupted, or inaccessible due to a variety of factors, including the removal of recording devices.
Early investigation. Abduction suspected. From the start, law enforcement made it clear this was not a case of someone simply going off on their own.
And he brings his hand up like this, right there, to block his face a little bit as he's trying to figure out what to do.
19 days in, and experts say this doorbell camera video still provides the best clues for solving Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping.
It looks like somebody who's very much planned not to leave any trace of himself.
Nancy had limited mobility, required daily medications, relied on a pacemaker, and health officials said she could not walk very far on her own. The Pima County Sheriff's Department quickly brought in the FBI due to the suspicious circumstances. By February 2nd to 3rd, officials publicly stated they believed Nancy had been taken against her will, a suspected kidnapping or abduction. DNA, evidence, and the masked suspect. In the days that followed, investigators combed every available piece of evidence. They confirmed blood at Nancy's home belonged to her, proof she did not leave on her own, and that something violent likely occurred.
He was in there 41 minutes. Doing what?
Investigators are still analyzing DNA found inside the home to attempt to identify the masked person caught on surveillance footage outside Nancy's home.
Investigators also sifted through digital evidence and surveillance from neighbors. The FBI eventually released footage of the masked suspect, describing him as a male roughly 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches tall with an average build, wearing a black backpack.
Images the FBI recovered from Nancy Guthrie's Google Nest doorbell camera, providing critical clues.
Using the rim of the arch along with the tiles, experts will be able to get his height, weight, and shoe size almost exactly.
Law enforcement took the case extremely seriously.
They also remain focused on video from the front door and on that backpack, which they know is sold at Walmart. Law enforcement sources tell ABC News Walmart is helping authorities with any receipts for that kind of backpack,
urging the public to come forward with any video or tip, no matter how small. Searches, DNA tests, and no match. By mid-February, authorities had made several key discoveries. Gloves found about 2 miles from Nancy's home were believed to have been worn by the suspect. DNA was extracted from one pair. However, that DNA did not match anything in the national database.
They're also turning to genetic genealogy testing, a process that helped investigators in Idaho identify Brian Koberger. Earlier DNA tests this week found no matches in the FBI's tracking system,
leaving investigators without an immediate suspect. Additional biological evidence is still being tested in labs, with more DNA profiles under analysis. Despite thousands of tips, more than 28,000 phone calls from the public, no one has been definitively linked to Nancy's disappearance. Possible ransom notes and online search clues. Not long after the disappearance, media outlets reported that they had received apparent ransom notes, but police could not confirm whether they were legitimate and whether they actually came from someone involved.
TMZ founder Harvey Levin says a highly sophisticated new ransom note received Wednesday is demanding $6 million in a different cryptocurrency than Bitcoin for Nancy Guthrie.
Intriguingly, internet search data later showed spikes in searches for Nancy's address as well as Savannah's salary weeks before January 31st, raising eyebrows among law enforcement and analysts. Whether those searches were connected to the crime remains unclear, but investigators are closely reviewing online activity as part of their probe. Cleared family and disproved rumors. With so much attention on this high-profile case, wild speculation and conspiracy theories began to circulate, especially online. By mid-February, the sheriff publicly cleared all close family members and spouses of suspicion, emphasizing they were victims in this case, not suspects. He also pushed back against misinformation, urging compassion and accurate reporting. Search operations and techniques. Law enforcement didn't just rely on tips and surveillance footage. They executed search warrants and operations in nearby neighborhoods, including one street about 2 miles from Nancy's home, though no arrests were made. Investigators have also turned to cutting-edge methods. Genetic genealogy, analyzing DNA from evidence to try to find distant relatives of a suspect. Pacemaker signal detection technology, attempting to pick up intermittent Bluetooth pings from Nancy's device to help locate her. Even without firm leads, authorities have made it clear they are willing to pursue every available tool to find her. Reward. Surges and public pleas. As of February 19, 2026, the reward for information leading to Nancy's safe return or to the arrest of those responsible has climbed to over $200,000, including contributions from anonymous donors and tip lines. Savannah Guthrie and her family have made emotional, heartfelt public pleas for help, urging anyone with knowledge, even the smallest detail, to come forward. Law enforcement officials continue to emphasize that someone out there likely has the missing piece that could break the case wide open. Where the case stands, February 20, 2026. Case type, suspected abduction/kidnapping, us seen, January 31st, 2026, at home in Catalina Foothills, Tucson, Arizona. Reported missing, February 1st, 2026, after failure to arrive at planned Sunday visit. Key evidence: doorbell footage of masked suspect, DNA from gloves, blood matching Nancy's DNA at scene. Suspects confirmed, none identified yet. Reward: over $200,000 for tips. Family cleared as suspects. Yes, full cooperation acknowledged.
Comes as the reward for information leading to Nancy's discovery has risen past $300,000. This includes rewards being put up by the FBI, the county's Crime Stoppers program, and a large donation from a Milwaukee-based donor.
Even after 3 full weeks of investigation, Nancy's whereabouts remain unknown, and the mystery deepens. Conclusion: what this case really reveals. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie is not just a crime story. It's a reminder of how reality can shift in an instant. An ordinary night, a familiar neighborhood, a moment captured on camera, and suddenly, a community, a family, and a nation are left searching for answers. This case isn't closed, it isn't solved, and as long as there are unanswered questions, the search for Nancy continues. Because someone out there knows something, and the truth, when it finally surfaces, will be the only justice that brings her home.